Great to be here with you. I got to tell you, though, every time I go somewhere to speak, there's always an observation I have. Now, Millie, how about Millie drawing her dad? But, you know, when it started out, she was so sweet and innocent. She was sitting there and she would look over and she would try not to make a mistake. I love the honesty of a babe. What a privilege to be with you here. Let's see if we can get this thing fixed up here. How about it now? You got me back there? It's an honor to be with you here. Absolutely. Let's see if we can get this thing up a little bit more. Start off with, first of all, Friday night we had a U.S. Senate debate in Dallas. Who all watched that debate? Awesome. That was the one and only time that people have a chance to see us shoulder to shoulder, to compare, to look and evaluate. For those who didn't see it, it's online, and I would highly encourage you to take the time to go watch, to see the four of us and what we believe in and the styles we have and what our resumes are. And spread the word and share the word that it's out there on a website to be viewed. This is special for me coming here. It's not far from here that I grew up as a little boy in Pasadena, Strawberry Park. And so when I see the little kids running around here, I'm like, wow, I was just one of those little kids. I want to share with you kind of the path that we've come through and where we are today. Three things that I believe in. God is God, family is family, and the Constitution is the Constitution. It's very important for me, first and foremost, to tell you what I believe in. When I say that God is God, my faith is the most important thing to me. My goal in life is that when I meet my Maker, He says, well done, well done, my good and faithful servant. That's my goal. My goal is not to become a United States Senator, but to make a difference, using the experiences and the things that I've been through in my life that I'm about to share with you. My family is very important to me. I was born in East Texas, lived in a small town called Alto, just west of Nacogdoches. When I was in first grade, my parents divorced and we moved to Pasadena. Started out actually in Channelview. I started learning real street and real life lessons in the third grade when I came home and I saw the yellow piece of paper on the apartment door that said eviction notice. Now, as a third grader, that's a tough lesson to learn. I ate my fair share of mayonnaise-only sandwiches. But I watched my mother persevere through an abusive relationship, which gave me the conviction for right is right and wrong is wrong, and it's never right to do wrong. I watched her get in that little black Volkswagen and drive downtown Houston every day, making ends meet for my brother and me. She could have gone on welfare. She could have taken the food stamps, but she chose not to. That was my role model, my mother. She's a hero to me, okay? We moved to the west side. She remarried, and I went to Stratford. As a 15-year-old, I figured out that I had a career in sales. I was 15, and I saw this 16-year-old in her front yard, and I went up, and I convinced her to go out with this 15-year-old little kid now. Now, she was a big deal, a year older than me. She had her driver's license. I had to ask her to pick me up to take us out on this date. We dated for 7 years. We've been married for 29 years. She's my soulmate and my best friend. We've raised 4 kids. We've raised 4 kids, ages 21, 24, 26, and 28. My oldest daughter works with me. I've told and joked a few times, the real reason that I'm running for the United States Senate is she graduated from SMU in 06 and moved to New York, and she was doing a lot of work up in the Wall Street world. And I kept trying to get her to come back, and finally I run for the Senate, and I said, Jessica, darling, I really need you on the campaign. She says, I'm coming home. So I got her home, and she's a deputy campaign manager, and she handles my schedule, and she runs me ragged. Now, you're talking about fun. Being with my daughter every day of the week is a blessing for me. The Constitution. Why is the Constitution important to me? The Constitution provided an apartment boy, me, an opportunity to live the American dream. The fact that I'm even here on this stage talking with you all about running for the United States Senate is living the American dream. And what Robert was talking about a moment ago with a passion that I love as a citizen, which he is, which I am, which we are, it's remarkable. I want to preserve the America that I grew up in and pass it on. I'm concerned like you are. Now, most people know me as a former NFL player, and I'm very proud of my days playing for the New England Patriots. I'm proud that I played in a Super Bowl. Great times. I'm also proud of my ESPN work for 20 years. But what I'm most proud of are the last 30 years that has allowed me to be an entrepreneur and the many businesses that I've started. People don't know that part of me. I started a broadcasting school that trained many of the men and women who are on the air today. Then I created a production company. I was probably the original content provider of video for the internet, partnerships with Yahoo and the Sporting News. My ranching and real estate development business has always been a part of me. I used to go home and work in the off season, even as an NFL player. And I know the reason that I worked was because I knew that at some point in time, my gravy train of athletics was going to be over. And I kept reflecting back to that apartment background, and I wanted to make sure I could provide for my family one day. So I've always been a business person. So when we talk about regulations and uncertainty, the last 3 years in my business has been horrendous. Why? Because of what the federal government's doing to us as citizens. And I've had enough of that. I don't need someone to explain to me what uncertainty and regulations has done to our economy. Regardless of where I go in the state of Texas, north, south, east, or west, people want a job. People want to have the ability to go to work. A strong family begins with a job. And everyone wants that. Here's how I think. One of the first things I would do in my pushback would be to end the Department of Education, put the money in the local school district's hands. I believe in children. And I know a lot of that comes because of the way I was raised. The Department of Education has no idea how we're to raise our kids in South Texas, East Texas, North Texas, or West Texas. We have to stop expecting every kid to want to go to college. It's not practical, nor is it needed. 25% of the kids drop out on average. 25%. 50% in the inner cities. That's incredible. Morally the wrong thing to do. Instead, if we introduce life skills development to the high schools, we will be preparing boys and girls as bricklayers, electricians, plumbers, culinary chefs. It's okay. So morally, I think it's the right thing to do, but economically too. Economically too. When I visit with the National Association of Manufacturers, that's 12,000 member companies around this country. Two things that they talk about. Uncertainty is hurting them. And number two, the lack of a skilled labor pool. So we would be providing for that. If we can get that done here in the state of Texas, and I'm confident we can, we will be preparing our economy in Texas to take advantage of the things that we have here and that we need here. The other thing that, and I know that I'm going to be preaching to the choir on all this stuff, but it's what I believe in. It's because I've been on Real Street. I'm connected. I'm not a politician. The EPA must go. They have their sights on Texas. I was in Midland, Texas a couple of weeks ago doing a West Texas tour. And I'm out there, and at Midland, I had finished my day of multiple stops and speaking deals, and I called trying to get a hotel room. No, not available. No. I had 8 no's. No hotel rooms available. Finally, someone says yes, and I go, I'll take it. $149, and I thought, this is going to be okay. I walk in there. It was a goat ranch, but I was glad for the room. At least I had a roof over my head. What did that say to me? It said to me that if the EPA and the government stays out of our way, we'll take care of our lizards, we'll take care of our environment, and we will drill for the natural resources we've been blessed with here in the state of Texas. You know, we talk about the Keystone Pipeline, which should have already been put in place to bring it down here to our refineries in South Texas. But you know, another thing that is really remarkable, we should be talking about building more refineries. They are running at 85% capacity now. Instead, you can't get a permit to get anything done. Why? Because the EPA and Obama want to stop all of this production and squeeze Texas down. You know, that's incredible. It'll take 15 to 20 years to get more refineries up and going. The other thing I think about, when we talk about Obamacare has to go, and we have to continue to pray the Supreme Court will overturn that. Absolutely. We all agree on that. But for anyone else, one that's running under the radar is the Dodd-Frank. It needs major reform, and anyone here who's in finance understands how negative an impact Dodd-Frank is having on our economy. It's strangling it. A few weeks ago, I thought I was going to go and I was going to refinance my mortgage. I spent 2 hours on the phone, and then they told me this is going to take 2 to 3 months for us to get you through on this. And I thought, wow. Now, I thought this was established to protect us. Instead, it's 2,300 pages of more gobbledygook that we don't even know what we're signing. It's stifling our economy. So when I think about regulations, that would be some of the first 3 things that I would attack with all the passion that I have. And I know that if any of those of you are following out here, Agenda 21. Agenda 21, if you haven't found out about what it is a massive intrusion into our freedoms from the United Nations, and you better study it up. I will beat my head against a brick wall to overturn Agenda 21 and not allow that thing to continue to run rampant in our country. It's unbelievable. In 1980, I was really lucky and had no idea how lucky I was. I heard Ronald Reagan speak on campus at SMU. My girlfriend and I, now wife. We went to this and we heard Ronald Reagan speak, and he talked about limited government, low taxes, personal responsibility, freedom and opportunity for all of us. That hooked me in. That's been the standard by which I have lived. I have enjoyed being a dad, not just a father. When I die on my monument, it'll say a loving dad. I was at home with my kids. I understand it. That's probably why I'm passionate about education. I saw their friends come over, and I saw the ups and downs of it. I was enjoying a business life. I had a great career at ESPN. But like you, I've gotten off the sidelines because this country is at a tipping point. We're at a philosophical tipping point. Half the country depends on the government to provide for them. The other half still believes in free markets. The half that believes in socialism, if you want to go and have a socialistic society, move to Europe. I don't want that. I want to live right here in the United States. I want to honor what Robert Gonzalez came to the United States for. The freedom and opportunity for all of us. No guarantees, but equal opportunity, not equal results. I'm a free market guy. I understand free markets. I'll tell you a story that I had. 3 years ago, one of my ranches that I was working on a development, I'm sitting there and I'm trying to decide. I had to spend some considerable money to develop a road to get to the top where I was going to have a number of home sites. And we had a town hall meeting under the blue skies out in the middle of nowhere. And we were with ball caps and boots on and jeans. Anyone who had anything to do with that project was there. From bankers to road construction to the water, everyone who might have a part of that. And this one man raised his hand and he said, "Hey, Mr. James, thanks for putting us to work." And I said, "Man, thank you. Thank you for what you do." This opened a conversation about free markets, and it really typified for me what it means. Free markets is this. I was taking a chance. I was going to risk and hope that my due diligence was going to be right, and that if, at the end of the day I was enhancing value and would make money. I was going to pay them handsomely for their work, and they knew that. They hoped I was right because we wanted to do it again. Free markets means, in my world, risk and reward. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm not going to expect other Americans and taxpayers to bail me out. I am against bailouts. Now see, had I been a politician all my life, I wouldn't have had those first-person experiences. I wouldn't understand that. But I get it. And I've worn two hats. One as an employer, which I just told you about there. And I'm still hoping that that one was right, by the way. The other one was as an employee. At ESPN, they would pay me for doing my work. I'd go home. I didn't sweat anything. I didn't worry what they put on SportsCenter the next morning. I didn't care how their sales were. I hoped to continue with my employment, but I didn't care about it. So I understand both worlds. I totally believe in the free market concept, not the socialism concept. And I know you do too. I believe the greatest challenge the Republican Party has in this country is to continue to listen to Tea Party activists, citizens and people who love our state and our country and are here for the right reasons, to preserve it and to pass it on. Our greatest challenge is to go educate the other half as to why the free markets work, why limited government works, what the real role of the federal government is. It's not to tell us with mandates of what we should or should not do. I totally get all of the little issues. People said to me when I first got in this race, "Do you really know the issues, Mr. James?" And I would sit there and I'd say, "I believe in defending our men and women who are defending us in our military. Hands down. Don't take money from them." Someone said, "Well, what would you do about the defense budget?" On our debate the other night, they were asking us about would you take money off, reduce the budget for the military? I said, not unless the military leaders tell us that. We've got to get politicians out of the business of trying to be military leaders. Whatever they tell us that we need to do, we need to honor that, because those men and women are putting their lives at risk for us. Right? I believe in life, pro-life, 100%. No gray areas to that for me. Do I believe in getting rid of federal regulations? Absolutely, I believe in getting rid of federal regulations. You've just heard me talk about that. I had dinner with Rick Santorum about a year and a half ago in Washington, D.C. He was thinking about the presidency, and I was thinking about the Senate run. And I know down here that there's a lot of mixed, there's Ron Paul fans, and there's Mitt Romney, and there are all kinds of, but we shared about faith, family, Constitution, free markets, and I liked his heart. And early on in this deal, I supported Rick Santorum, and I endorsed him. And all these advisors said, hey, you're not supposed to do that. You're a Senate candidate. I said, look, I'm not going to wait for consensus on anything. I'm not a follower. I told you my goal in life is not to be a senator, but to make a difference. If I see something, I'm going to recognize it, and I'm going to go do it. I thought Rick Santorum was the true conservative. Am I going to support Mitt Romney? Absolutely, I'm going to support Mitt Romney because we have to get Obama out of office. Here's what, and Dale was a champion for Santorum as well. But here's what Rick said to me, and here's why I brought Rick Santorum up. He asked me, Craig, do you want to come here to be or do? Everyone who comes up here wants to be someone, or do you want to come do the work of we the people? And I never forgot that. That was profound, and I didn't let him know at that time it was profound how it was. But I didn't forget that, Dale. I thought, wow, now that man's heart, he's telling me something. He's been up here and he knows what's going on. I'm so convinced that the only way we're going to save this country is if citizens like you and I step up to do the work of we the people. That's the only way it's going to happen. In the debate the other night, you heard the lady that was asking me the questions about, basically it really was challenging my faith. There are two things that I believe in strongly. The best instrument that we have as a document in this country is the Constitution. 8,600 words or less. That's one sideline. The other sideline for me are the Ten Commandments. I will never back down from either one of them. Faith is my backbone. That's my core of who I am. Am I judgmental? No, that's not my business. Am I discriminatory? No, that's not my business. We are all equal and have the ability to decide and pick and choose as we please. But when I go to Washington, D.C., I'm not going up there to be someone. I didn't give up the freedoms that I had and the enjoyment of my life to go up and conform. I've never conformed in my life. Someone asked me, well, Mr. James, what makes you think that you won't change when you get there? Because everyone else changes. They say the same thing. You know, they preach the same thing. They get to Washington and they change. I have to be careful on how I say this because I don't want to disrespect anyone in Congress. Since I was 17 years old, I've been blessed with a lot of things that were nice and limelight and things. Whether playing in a Super Bowl, announcing Super Bowls, being in the biggest of boardrooms, doing deals with billionaire people. I've been around glitz and stuff. My faith has kept me from the temptations of stuff. Being on TV for 20 plus years, you could get big-headed and you could become full of yourself. I've avoided that because you heard my goal in life. And that's when I meet my maker. He says, well done, my good and faithful servant. So when I walk into that Senate chamber for the first time and I see Harry Reid, I'm not going to have the ooh effect. Well, yeah, I would have the ooh effect like, buddy, you need to go. But I want to take what I've been blessed with and the platform, and a lot of people who listen to what I'm going to say. Might not everyone agree with me. I understand that. But I want to take the influence that I have on people, especially young Americans, the 18 to 30-year-olds, that we have got to get involved. I want to be able to influence them, to get them to the polls, to vote for solid Americans who are patriots, who love the Constitution and will defend it, not go up there and conform. And I'll leave you with this thought here. We do have a great country. I have, as an apartment boy, lived the American dream, not through someone else. I've lived it. I'm continuing to live it. I look at this race like this, and I think you'll see it if you watch the debate the other night. I don't think David Dewhurst will be the next senator from Texas. And the homework that we did about him, and I'm not trying to look through this with rose-colored glasses. I've looked at it as a businessman. There's a reason that he's at 38 or 40% in the polls. There's a ceiling on him. There's a reason they're not a passionate following from him. I do think that the race comes down between Ted Cruz and myself. Ted's a great lawyer, absolutely, and I've come to enjoy him and his father. But in the Senate chamber in the United States, the majority are already lawyers. John Cornyn is a lawyer. We don't need another lawyer in the Senate chamber. Not for this snapshot and point in time in American history. And I believe that the skill sets and the variety of experiences that I've been through in my life uniquely qualify me now for this point in time in American history to go be a partner with John Cornyn to fight for you and to fight for me and our kids and our families, to preserve what we have. Again, I'm not foolish. I know that everyone here is not going to vote for me. I understand that. But what you are here doing, it's confirmation for why I'm doing this. Every one of us in this pavilion loves America. Every one of us in this pavilion wants to do what we can to preserve and to protect and to pass it on. That's why we're here. That's why we've all taken the time out of our busy days, the one day off that we might all have had, to come do what we are doing here. If we don't continue this beat, we will lose the greatness that has been provided and afforded to us in the United States of America. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. If anyone has a question, I'd be more than happy to try to answer it for you. Anyone have any questions?
How do you respond to
Sharia
Sharia law?
law? Sharia law? How do I respond to that? If you really enjoy Sharia law, go to move to a country that has Sharia law. We got the Constitution and our own judicial system. That's like Agenda 21. Hey, the UN, I don't have a problem being a part of it, but the UN, we're the dog. We got to have the tail to stop wagging the dog. You know, leave us alone. This is a great country. 8,600 words in that document provide us the framework for what's great. We're trying to redraft that. We're trying to put our own activist roles into that, ideologies. Let's honor the Ten Commandments. Let's honor the Constitution. That's how I look at it. That's what we're fighting for. You know, this country was not founded on massive piles of policy. This country was founded on greatness because of the ability for people to go satisfy the American spirit, the drive within. That's what made America great. That's why people want to go to work. That's what this country needs. If we don't believe the moral fiber of this country is going on a slippery slope right now, we're wrong. If we don't think that these kids coming out of college today or high school today don't have opportunities, we're kidding ourselves. If we don't think that there are bad guys coming across our unsecured borders in this country to set us up for bad things, we're kidding ourselves. We need to send our army north, south, east, and west and defend our borders. I'd love to talk with you guys forever. Any other questions that I can answer?
Do you support getting out of the UN?
Do I support getting out of the UN? I think the UN, in a combination of us leading the charge, that we can squeeze like we are squeezing Iran right now. And I like the ability for us to come together with them. But I don't believe the UN should tell us how we're going to do things. We should be the leaders of the UN. Hey, thank you for listening. Thank you for staying in the rain, giving me a chance. I have brochures that are here. If you believe in me, I would sure appreciate your support, your consideration. I know you love the state and you love our country. I do too, man. God bless America and God bless Texas. Thank you very much.